that's what every single one of us wants. We want to be able to show up as ourselves, and
Yes.
we want to be able to reach out. We want to hear that we're worthy. And yet inside, we just don't feel it. We don't believe it. We hear that inner critic. I heard you say a quote. You have a quote. I heard you say it about how the inner critic tells us that we're not worthy.
That's
I don't
right.
know what it is
Lie.
exactly, but something like that, right? We believe
Yeah.
that lie that we're not worthy, but we are. And
So
there's nothing that we need to do to have
exactly.
that.
Every moment of every day, we have a choice to choose love or to choose fear.
Welcome to Life and Love by Design. I'm life and relationship coach Odette Coronel. This podcast is for individuals and couples who are done living on autopilot, who are ready to understand the patterns shaping their relationships, their choices, and their sense of self, and redesign them with purpose and intention. Here, we don't just talk about what's hard. We name what's actually happening beneath it and what to do about it. And if you start recognizing yourself or your relationship in these conversations, know that this is the exact work that I do with my private coaching clients, individuals and couples who are ready for real change. Because a meaningful life and connected relationships don't happen by default. They're designed. So let's begin. Welcome back to Life and Love by Design, where we explore how to live and love with intention. I'm Odette Coronel, and I coach individuals and couples who want to learn how to heal patterns, rebuild trust and connection, and create lives and relationships by design rather than by default. And today's conversation is one I am really looking forward to. My guest is Bill Carmody. And Bill is a best-selling author. He's a TEDx speaker, entrepreneur, mental fitness expert. He spent 6 years as chief coaching officer for Positive Intelligence, supporting over 100,000 coaches, myself included, worldwide in building mental fitness, emotional resilience, and abundance-based businesses. And he's also built and sold multi-million dollar companies, worked with Fortune 500 brands, and he's been traveling the world for the past couple of months with his family. So I'm really excited about this conversation because I know that from my experience with Bill, he talks not just as a leader in the business world, but as a father, as a husband, and as a human being. So, Bill, I am really grateful to have you here.
Odette, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate it.
Yes, of course. I know that you've had an extraordinary professional life, like I mentioned in the intro, and they actually call you the marketing whisperer. And you had a podcast with that name, which is great. And you're also a coach, entrepreneur. I know that you interviewed Sir Richard Branson and Grant Cardone. I've seen pictures of you with Tony Robbins. But I want to kind of zoom out for a moment.
Yeah,
If you could
please.
describe your journey, not just by the different titles and roles that you've had, but by turning points. What were those
Mm,
moments that really shaped who you are today? And
I
was there
love
even
that.
a moment where maybe success didn't feel like you thought it would feel?
Oh, of course. Of course. Yeah. No, I mean, I think, what happens is we see the curated version of people's lives. It's what they often want us to see. And so often, don't believe the hype. Any master was once a disaster, right?
Yeah.
So they have to start off somewhere. And these defining moments are exactly what shape us. And I think I remember hearing this idea of if your life were a movie, it would be very boring if everything just worked out exactly as it's supposed to, right? If you
Right.
think about I got up and everything was great and everything went well and it went through. I mean, that's just a boring movie. So what we want to do is see how we grow through our adversity. And I'll tell you, the very beginning of that journey was when I was 12 years old. My parents got divorced. And both my parents are music teachers, so that financial freedom was very far from view. And I think we grew up on the lower end of middle class, and I wouldn't say we were poor. We had all the requirements, but I always was very conscious of the fact that my friends and my friends' families seemed to have a lot more than we did, and they seemed to be able to do a lot more than we were doing. And so that consciousness was really ingrained. And then my mom made one mistake, literally one. She was so busy, she couldn't get to the grocery store one time. And in that one time, we ran out of food for one meal. And
Mm.
that was enough to lock me into this place of scarcity. Like, I can't trust my parents. I can't trust anything. All this is the story I told from a one unfortunate situation. And it was so simple. It never happened again, but it didn't matter. In my mind, I didn't think that I could trust my household, my parents. And so from that point forward, I lived, the next 35 years of my life in scarcity, even when I wasn't, even though I wasn't. And I think that was a defining moment for me because it really got me into entrepreneurism. I wanted to start my own businesses. At 12 years old, I had 5 businesses. I had a
Wow.
paper route. I did door-to-door selling. I had a lawn care business with one friend, and another friend got jealous. So I had a second lawn care business. So I alternated weekends. I was working all the time, and then I did odd jobs in between. So I was financially free early on because in my mind, it's like, I know how to do this. I can get as much money as I need. And I just kept building and building and building, but I never stopped. And finally, another defining moment was, finally, when I was in my 30s, I was the CEO of my second multi-million dollar company. It was already, again, on Inc. 5000, one of the fastest growing companies in the United States. I had a beautiful wife, beautiful kids. I literally had everything that when I was a 12-year-old, I said I would have to be happy. So these were all my conditions to happiness. I
Mm.
achieved it all. And I
You
wasn't
checked all the
happy.
boxes.
I did. All the things that look like success I had, and yet I was not happy. And I remember sitting on the beach of St. Lucia, which should have been one of those happy moments in my life with my
Mm.
family. And I looked out to the ocean. I said, is this all there is? Because I can't do anymore. I've given everything. I've been redlining for way too long. I can't do it. And so ultimately, at that point, I was ready to take my own life. And the thing
Mm.
about suicide is that it's not rational. It's an emotional feeling. People are just like, oh my God, this is just too much. I can't do this anymore. But I remember something really pivotal, and this was the other really important turning point in my life. That thought of suicide, what came right after it, was my dad sharing with me his decision that he was going to take his own life. He walked into his counselor's office and he said, if you don't give me a reason to live, when I leave this office, I'm going to take my life. Imagine the pressure that would be on a
Wow.
counselor. And so he said the best, most beautiful thing you could possibly imagine. He said, don't be a selfish prick. My dad was like,
Mm.
what? He goes, when you kill yourself, everyone blames themselves. What could I have done? There's something I could have done differently. If only I had ... He goes, if you truly are ready to kill yourself, then just leave. Get on a plane, fly anywhere in the world, and start a new life. That way, if you change your mind later, you'll have that option. But if you don't, everyone can blame you. You're the
Yeah.
jerk, right? And so it was like, oh, well, if I am ready to end my life, then I'm ready to change it all. And that's when I began my journey of transformation. And the person you see today, who I am blissfully happy, and I love my life. I'm so happy. Life is happening for me, not to me. All of that happened from that decision to let go of all the demands and what everybody else thought of me and just start again, fresh, being fully present in this moment and enjoying my life.
Wow, what a story. That's incredible, and it seems like it's those really painful moments that actually where you actually contemplated suicide, which I mean,
Yeah.
that's such despair and loneliness, I can imagine.
Yes.
And yet from there, you went the other way and you really realized, okay, I'm gonna find meaning, I'm gonna find purpose.
Yeah. I mean, every single bad thing that's ever happened to me has shaped me in a positive way. It's hard to see what's happening in the moment, but I remember seeing a sign during the pandemic that said, "We grow through what we go through." And I was like, "Yes. Yes." I had a business partner who took $300,000 from me, and at the time that was most of what I had
Wow.
in my life. It just wiped out my everything. And I thought, like, I'll never survive this. Like, this is going to be the end of the
Yeah.
line. And yet it showed me everything I needed to know to become financially free. So yeah, it sucked
Mm.
at the time, but it was the lesson I needed to learn. And now I'm financially
Right.
free because of it because I needed to learn that lesson.
You needed to
Right.
learn the
So
lesson. Yeah, something positive came out from that negative experience. And, I've known you through the positive intelligence world, and I trained as a mental fitness coach. And I know that this world deeply shaped how I help my own clients. And for someone listening who hears the term mental health and they hear mental fitness, and sometimes they use it interchangeably, and they don't know how to distinguish between the two, how would you explain the difference, and why is mental fitness something that really everyone needs, not just people in crisis?
yes, Thank you. It's a wonderful question. So, mental health is the medical side of this. So, it's therapy. It's understanding sort of how are you working in your brain. Is are there any problems medically that need to be addressed? Mental fitness is different. Mental fitness is proactive. It's like going to the gym. So, I might want to become more mentally fit, just like I want to be more physically fit. So, if I want to be more physically fit, I go to the gym every day. I work out. I take care of myself. If I want to be mentally fit, I need the same thing. So the idea is our brain can be our best friend, but it can also be our worst enemy. It's the thoughts inside of our head that can also bring us joy and pleasure and happiness, or can bring us misery and all the way to despair and depression, ultimately to where I got to, which is the end of the line of considering suicide. So the thing about mental fitness is understanding how can I be more positive in my life and not fake positive, right? That this is not toxic positivity. This is actually being very authentic and real, and seeing that every obstacle hidden inside the obstacle is actually the gift that we're meant to learn, and giving us everything we need to be successful in whatever we put our minds to. It's just how do we choose to see it? And in that context, mental fitness is really the journey of understanding, how do I actually lean in to the positive aspects of my brain and my thinking, the cognitive neuroplasticity that allows me to be the type of person I want to be in the world, and not living through circumstances and always be in reaction to everything that happens to me, right? If I keep coming back to that perspective that life is happening for me, even in the worst times of my life, I can say, what am I not seeing? What is the gift here that 5 years from now, when I look back, I'll say, this was the best thing that could have possibly happened to me? What if I don't have to wait 5 years? What if I can look
Right.
for it now, today? That's mental fitness.
Right. Yeah. And it really is a practice, right? It's not something that you do it once and you're done. It's you getting in those PQ reps because you're practicing calming down your nervous system and throughout the day, which I love. I mean, I love to meditate also, set some 20 minutes aside or whatever on a daily basis, but sometimes we don't have the time to do that. And just learning to be more mindful and put in those PQ reps helps
That's
prepare
it.
us to
Yeah. To,
to practice and be able to handle the stress and pivot and intercept when something happens, feel that negativity, but then not stay stuck in it, which is so powerful.
Yeah, it's meditation in the wild. So I mean, anyone can take a meditation practice, right? I
Yeah.
can sit on a pillow, put on my candles, I can change the light, I can go to a beach, look at an ocean. Like I can do all these things in my own environment and go, I'm so blissed out because I'm able to be in this moment. But what about when your boss is yelling at you? What about when your wife is totally upset at you? What about when your kids are yelling or screaming? What about when you're on an airplane and a baby's crying? Can you be mentally fit in those moments? Right? That's the real work. And so you mentioned PQ reps. Does your audience know what a PQ rep is?
No, not yet. I'm
Let's do
hoping you
one.
can explain it to them.
Yeah. But see, that's the thing. Let's not explain it. Let's actually do it, because here's the
Okay.
thing. Mental fitness is something you can do anytime, anywhere, any day, any moment. And so the idea here is it's not a cognitive thing, it's actually an experience. So
Yeah.
if your audience is driving, don't do this now. Right?
Yeah.
So you can do this when you
Pull
get home.
over if you're driving.
Right, exactly. Pull over if you want to. But the idea is, if you're listening to this and you're in a place where you can really do this with us, please join us. It'll only take about 60 seconds, but you'll see
Mhm.
how this changes your entire body and
Mm.
mind frame in this moment. All right. So if you are able to, please close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath in and let it out. Another nice deep breath in and let it out. Third and final nice deep breath in. Hold it at the top just for a second and then let it out. And allow your breath to return to its normal breathing pattern. You don't have to do anything, just breathe normally. And as you do, notice the temperature of the air as it enters your nostrils and the temperature of the air as it exits your nostrils. Bring all your attention to your breath. Nothing to do, nowhere to be. Just allow yourself to breathe and notice your breath. Notice the rising and falling of your chest or stomach with each breath. And now shift your focus to your listening. Notice the farthest away sound that you can hear. And now notice the closest sound that you can hear. And if that closest sound isn't the sound of your own breathing, please hear it now. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to open your eyes, but when you do, open your open your eyelids so slowly that you can feel your eyelids opening. Really be present to the opening of your eyes. And when you're ready, slowly and mindfully open your eyes.
That was
How do you
so
feel right now?
nice. Oh,
Doesn't that
so
feel great?
calm, relaxed. Yeah, I love it.
I
I
feel
feel so
grounded.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, I was already feeling good when we started this conversation,
Mhm.
but I'm like 10x better right now just because of
Yeah,
those
my
few.
shoulders just kind of relax. I noticed that I was going like this as I was talking to you. Now I'm like, my shoulders have kind of gone down like a whole inch. So I feel
Isn't it
so
amazing?
relaxed. That was great. It's something so simple and so doable. I mean, even in the middle of work, you can go into the bathroom if you need to and
Right.
do something like this to kind of regulate yourself. And
And by the
it's
way, I used to teach public speaking, and one of the things that I would do is exactly that. I would go to the bathroom and I would get myself ready. And people don't do this. They just walk out and go to into a meeting or whatnot, and you might be hijacked. You might be still thinking about something that someone else said to you before you go into that space. Here, it's a clearing. It gives you able to be completely and fully present in the moment. And in that moment, you will be your best version of yourself. Of course, you're going to have a great meeting. Of course, you're going to have a great keynote speech
yeah,
if you do this.
right. Yeah, as Tony Robbins says, your state is what really determines how you behave. So if you're able to manage your state and shift from that hijack state into this calm, present, grounded, sage state, I'm using PQ terminology again,
Yes.
it shifts everything. It shifts the outcome that you're going to get. If you're doing all the right things, you're showing up, you're holding it together, you're being capable and responsible, and yet something in your life and relationships or your marriage still feels off, then give me a few seconds of your time because this message is for you. Relationships don't usually fall apart because of one big event. More often, it's the small everyday moments when we stop being intentional, or we stop really listening, or we stop choosing connection. Those are the things that create distance over time. I work with thoughtful, high functioning individuals and couples who aren't broken, but they're feeling disconnected or misaligned or just wondering how they got here. In my coaching, we slow things down. We try to understand what's happening beneath the surface. We identify the patterns that are shaping your relationships and your choices, and then we intentionally design what comes next. So if you're listening and you're thinking, this feels like me, that's not an accident. I offer a complimentary relationship and life alignment audit. It's a focused 45-minute conversation where I'm going to help you gain clarity and identify what comes next. You can book your session by visiting odettecoronel.com. I would love to connect with you.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
to me, that's another pivotal moment. We talk about the thing moments that define us. When I start to see like how have I operated when I'm hijacked, when I'm upset and I don't show up my best version of myself, it actually takes more time because I have to clean it up later. Right. When I take this 1 minute to really be fully present, I'm the best version of myself and I don't have to apologize because I'm
Yeah.
unlikely to say something that I'm going to regret later. That's worth it.
Yeah. 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 Very powerful. I love it. I'm going to transition a little bit into something
Please.
that I think is really important is, I see a lot in my coaching work, loneliness, whether it's
Yes.
couples that are together, they have family, they have friends, or individuals that seem super successful and on the outside they seem to be fine or have it all together, but inside they're feeling really lonely. What's From your perspective, why is loneliness become such a powerful thing recently. I know that COVID has
Yeah.
to do with it, but so many people are just struggling with loneliness. And we're so connected. Look, you're in Sydney right now, and
Yes.
we're connecting, and yet everyone is so lonely.
And that loneliness comes from the lack of authentic connection.
Mm,
See, the thing is, I believe one of the biggest harms we've had in our society is the explosion of social media. Because ultimately, one of the things that social media has done is instead of bringing us together, it's put us apart.
yeah,
What you see is what I want you to see. I want you to see all the best parts of me. Here's all the things that I'm doing. Look at me on the beach. Look at me in the mountains.
yeah,
Look at me doing all this wonderful things. My life is perfect. And it's a lie.
right,
It's a lie. But it's
yeah,
what we start to perceive. And we look around and go, God, everybody's life is so perfect. Why is mine so terrible? Am I the only one in this world struggling? Something must be wrong with me. And so what ends up happening is rather than being vulnerable and reaching out and saying, Odette, I'm in pain right now. Can we talk? I'm really hurting. Like, when's the last time you started a conversation with that? When's the last
yeah,
time you were so willing to trust the person you were talking to that you could be completely honest and vulnerable with them?
yeah,
See, I believe loneliness is self inflicted. Loneliness is our lie in our brain saying that we're not worthy of being honest with another human being about what we're really going through. The best moments in my life might have started with tears in my eyes,
mm,
that I'm in pain, that I'm suffering, but I don't have to suffer alone. And another thing you mentioned, Tony Robbins, he likes to say, pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice.
it's a choice. Yeah,
It's a choice because we don't have to go through any of it alone. All of us have people we can reach out to
mm,
and connect with. But the idea is, are we doing real connection? Or are we talking about things that don't matter? The weather, things that are just happening to us, as opposed to the real, authentic, why am I here? My purpose, the reason for living. Where is the last time you've shared really authentically of yourself so that someone really gets to know the real you? Only
yeah,
then we have that connection that will be the antidote to loneliness. It's a
right.
choice.
Yeah, it's a choice. Oh, that was beautiful. Yeah. And I think that that's what every single one of us wants. We want to be able to show up as ourselves, and
Yes.
we want to be able to reach out. We want to hear that we're worthy, and yet inside we just don't feel it. We don't believe it. We hear that inner critic. I heard you say a quote. You have a quote. I heard you say it about how the inner critic tells us that we're not worthy.
That's
I don't
right.
know what it is exactly,
Lie.
but something like that, right? We believe
Yeah.
that lie that we're not worthy, but we are, and
So
there's nothing that we need to do to have
exactly.
that. And with social media, you're right. We're seeing people's filtered photos, their highlights. We're not seeing their reality. And we're thinking we're the only one that doesn't look this way, that doesn't have those things. And it's really impacting our mental health
Every
collectively,
moment,
I think.
every moment of every day, we have a choice to choose love or to choose fear. And in that place of fear, if I choose fear, I'm worried more about what you're going to think about me than I am about the connection I want to have with you. If I choose love, I trust that our relationship will grow as I become more vulnerable and more willing to tell you what's really going on in my life. That's a love choice. Fear
Yeah.
is isolation. Fear is, I'm not worthy of telling you what I'm really going on, or you won't like me if I do. So when I choose fear, I choose isolation because I don't trust you. When I choose love, I choose to be vulnerable with you and authentic with you because I believe you can handle it. So to me, that's the ultimate. If I'm really wanting to have a beautiful life, I get to choose love. Every moment of every day when I choose love, I'm
Choose
growing,
love.
expanding. That's it. Be love. If you don't know what to
Right.
do in any
Yeah.
circumstance, what would love have me do? If you take any problem in life and ask yourself, what would love have me do? You'll immediately know the answer because there's always the two responses. I can
Mm.
respond in love or I can respond in fear. If I'm responding from love, it's the right move. If I'm responding from fear, then I'm going to drive my ego and I'm going to do things that might feel good in the moment, but are not ultimately the right choice. Choose love.
Right.
Love.
Choose love. Yeah. That's a beautiful message. And I want to go back to you shared very openly that before earlier in the conversation about your own suicide attempt, and even you mentioned your
Yes.
dad. And I just want to acknowledge something that you've shared very publicly, and I want to acknowledge this with a lot of care, and also honor both her privacy and the courage, your courage in speaking about it. But I know that your daughter Violet
Yes.
recently attempted to commit suicide.
Yes.
And one thing that struck me just in hearing you speak about this before is that you said that yourself, and you've heard other people say, I didn't see it coming.
Yes. Yeah, she gave me permission to share about this experience so that we can help others. And so this is not from a place of using a bad situation for some sort of positive gain, but it's more about understanding anyone and everyone can go through this. So what do we do? And I opened a keynote speech a month afterwards, after my daughter attempted suicide,
Mm,
and was sharing exactly what happened. Because what I said was, I've helped over 100,000 coaches with mental fitness, and here I am, and I don't see any of this coming. My daughter attempts suicide. I don't see the signs. Here I am thinking that I'm so far along in my progress, and my own daughter attempts suicide, and I don't even know it's happening until it happens. So this can happen to any one of us. And the main thing that
yeah.
I realized at that point was that I had created an environment where my daughter did not feel that she could be the real version of herself in front of me and tell me exactly what was going on. I thought I did. I thought I'd created these wonderful conditions, but in fact, I had created intimidation and unintentionally, of
Mm,
course, but she was
right, of
intimidated to tell
course.
me what's really going on. And I didn't realize what I'd created in my environment until it was already too late. Now, thankfully, she's okay. We went to the hospital, we got her help, we went through all the steps we needed to. But it was such a wake up call for me. Like, how many people in my life are suffering in silence and aren't speaking
Yeah.
out and asking for help? It was an important lesson.
Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine. I have 3 children myself, and to see your child in pain, like, there's nothing worse. And I imagine that there are many parents out there listening who are holding quiet fears about their own children. So your story really speaks to how invisible that pain can be. And I thank you for sharing it, and, with a lot of respect and care. And what do you think parents can do to, if they are kind of wondering, or they're noticing something but they're not sure, and they're not sure where to step in and where to kind of hold back? Because it's hard, because especially with teenagers and young adults, you want to let them do their own thing, and we're expecting them to be moody and all of that. But at one point, do they should they step in, do you think, just from your perspective, if you have any to
Yes, for
share?
sure. I'll tell you where I got it wrong. I made an assumption that turned out to be really inaccurate and actually dangerous. And that was that, my daughter was spending a lot more time behind closed doors. And I thought it was a natural teenage thing. Like, hey, she wants to be
Right.
with her friends, she wants to be online, she's doing gaming, she's doing all these things. But we talked earlier about isolation, and she was isolating. And, more importantly, what ends up happening when the closed group of friends is that they can create an echo chamber effect. And so my daughter is transgender, but every kid can go through this when their own thing, whatever it is that they're going through, they can surround themselves with other people who are going through the same thing and create an echo chamber whereby their pain and suffering gets reverberated so that it becomes the only thing. And she wasn't talking to me about what she was going through. She was talking to other friends going through the same thing, thinking that it was the right thing to do. And instead, it was
Mm,
just exacerbating her own pain. So rather than actually dealing with the problem, they were exacerbating the pain they were feeling. And it kept going deeper and deeper and deeper until she couldn't handle it. And so as a
mm,
parent, that was my first major mistake, was that I looked at it from a place of, hey, this is exactly what happens with teenagers. They
right.
want to disconnect from their parents, give them the
Mm,
space, they'll be fine. Right? That was my
right.
thought.
Yeah. Yeah. And that
But
makes sense, right? I mean, to
logically,
think that,
right?
to assume that, right? Yeah, logically, yeah. Mhm.
So I would say that knowing what I know now, that the only thing that I would change is I would have actually spent a little more time investigating with my kid to say, hey, Tell me what's really going on. I know you're telling me everything's fine, everything's great, but I haven't heard anything from you that allows me to know you as the person you are today, right now. I want to know your heart. I want to know what's going on for you for real. And that presence, that ability to really have real conversations, it's the biggest challenge, especially as kids are growing up and they're teenagers, because they're pushing us away.
Yeah.
So as the kids push their parents away, parents can often accept it and say, okay, this is just a thing they're going through. But ultimately, sometimes that's when they need us most. That's what it turned out to be. And so now it's more a matter of really making sure I'm doing a regular check-in, and I'm not going to leave until I know that I'm hearing the truth, good or bad. I don't care what it
Right.
is. What I
Yeah.
care is that it's real, not the
Right.
surface level, but that depth of connection. And we know when we have it, and we know when we're not getting it. So
Hmm.
sometimes I got to be annoying. Sometimes I
Yeah.
got to just be there. And it's like, I'm not leaving your room until you have an honest conversation with me. So let's have it. What's going on right now? Oh, I'm fine. Really?
Yeah.
Tell me more. Right? Just be
Yeah.
there. Right?
I
Just
love
wait.
everything that you're saying. Yeah, and present too. Even if they're teenagers, even if they're young adults, they still need you. You still
That's right.
need to be there. Even if they push you away, keep asking. Our job, Dr. Becky, she wrote Good Inside, but she says that as parents, we want to make our children happy. And that's not
Yes.
our job to make them happy necessarily. So
Correct.
it's okay if they don't like it that we're pushing. And are you sure you're okay?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
It's okay. It's
And
okay.
that's the thing. I think that's one of the biggest hangups we all have. We believe about this happiness as a core value, and it's not. Happiness is a
Right.
byproduct. Our
Mm,
core values lead to happiness. But ultimately, if we're trying to be happy or we're trying to help others be happy, we're chasing a ghost. It's
yeah.
not possible.
It's not
But what I
possible. Yeah.
what I can do is I can really live my core values. I can be in integrity. I can be honest. I can be love. There's a lot of things I can be, but I can't be happy. Happy is a byproduct. And
Right.
so you're right. If I'm trying to help my kids be happy,
It's a
I'm chasing the
byproduct.
wrong
Yeah.
thing, right? What I want them to understand is what's important to be real. I want them to be authentic. I want them to be vulnerable. And I want it to be in a place where we
Yeah.
can have a conversation where they feel safe with me. That I do want. Whether they're happy or not is just a byproduct of
Right.
where they are in that moment. That's all.
Right. Yeah. And creating that safety for them to be able to open up, whether we like what we hear or not, but they feel safe to share it with us.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. How has this impacted just the way that you view just success and leadership and all of that? Has it impacted the way that you
Oh
view
yeah.
all
I,
of
I
that?
think I think what's interesting is success changes throughout our lifetime, right? As a kid, success can be like, hey, I got out of diapers as a child, right? That's success, right?
You're
Simple
right. Yeah.
bodily function,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Success is I got good grades in my classroom, right? So success evolves. When I move out from my parents' house, success is being able to have enough financial independence that I can afford my own place. So success continues to change and evolve. To me, today, right now, success is about relationships, about
Mm,
love. Success is about really being authentic and vulnerable and connected, right? My success definitions have changed so many times throughout my life. And really, what I will come back to is what's my purpose, which is the big question. And a lot of people think about, oh, purpose is something you think about like when you have the luxury, like after you finished your career or
mhm,
whatnot. No, purpose is right now, today.
mhm,
What am I doing? Why am I here? The often quoted Mark Twain is the two happiest moments in a person's life, the day they were born and the day they figure out why. We don't spend enough time figuring out why am I here? But that ultimate question of purpose drives
mm.
everything. Otherwise, we can be
Yeah.
running as fast as we want and we don't know where we're going. If you don't know where your end game is, then any direction will work, right?
Right.
But if
Yeah.
you know what you want to,
And it's so true that, how we define success changes over time, and I think that that's part of our growth and our evolution both professionally and personally. We're meant to change and evolve, so of course how we define success is going to look different depending on what stage of life you're in, but I love what you said about purpose, of doing things from a space of purpose, and You're right. Sometimes we're in necessity where we need to make a certain amount of money and we're in survival mode. And yet I still believe that you can find meaning and purpose even in those moments. No matter what
I mean,
you're doing, if you
especially,
really are true to your value, you're in integrity, you can still find purpose in that.
yeah. I mean, I'll go one step further. I think it's especially in those times. See, I mean, I think our core values are easy to put on a wall when everything's going great, but our core values get challenged when times are tough. Can I still
And
be
that's
an
when they're
integrity?
most important.
Yes,
That's
that's
when
when we
they
need
matter
them.
the most. Yeah, I refer to them as our compass. That's when we really
Yeah.
need them so we know what to do.
It's in the times of crisis that we discover who we really are. It's in those times of crisis that we're challenged to say, can you still be an integrity? If integrity is one of my core values, can I still be an integrous when things are really tough? Can I still be love when somebody else is attacking me? Can I really live into my principles at the hardest moments in my life? And guess what? I'm human, so no.
Right, we're not
There's
gonna get it
something
right
going
all
on.
the time.
No, but I know my intention, and it's going to remind me that this is what I say I'm up to in this world. So now is the moment. We talk about mental fitness, right? I spent 6 years deepening my mental fitness, and yet when I was in the hospital with my daughter and I was being told that she's being involuntarily held against all of our wills, right, for the next several weeks to determine what's going on, I lost my stuff. I attacked the head nurse that was trying to help me. And the thing about it is that that was not my best day. And I certainly was not in my best behavior. But the good thing about mental fitness is that I caught myself.
Mm,
Within like a couple hours, I realized that I was not the best version of myself. And I went and I
right.
found the nurse and I apologized. And I said, look, you're seeing me on my worst day. This is my worst day. And I do not like the way I was behaving with you. I apologize. I want to start over. I know all you're trying to do is help me and help my daughter. You don't know if I'm the reason that she's attempted suicide. You have no idea. You can't
Right,
trust any
right.
of it. So now I get it. And I apologize for my behavior and I want to be better. So, and she, to her credit, for her grace, she said right back to me, I agree. I'm seeing you on one of the worst days of your life. I give you grace. I understand, this is really hard for you too. I get it. And from that moment, we were able to realign and I could really understand what was happening, even if I didn't like it. And
Mm,
so that I could better understand how to navigate it. It was good.
yeah,
Great lesson.
right. Yeah, that's great, and it shows your resilience. It's not about getting it right all the time, it's about being able to stop yourself and pivot and then be resilient and then do something different when
That's
you're
right.
able to. Yeah, I
That's
love
right.
that.
We're humans.
What
We make
We're
mistakes.
human, yeah, we're not gonna get it right all the time, it's just we're able to kind of realign ourselves and kind of recalibrate.
Exactly.
So, love that, yeah. So, what do you hope for the coaching profession in general going forward? And
Yeah.
especially when it comes to, like, when you hear people I feel like I did a whole episode, on just coaching and the difference between coaching and therapy because I feel like there's a little bit of confusion and lack of clarity, and there are many people that are curious about coaching, but they're not sure if they're ready or they're not sure if they should. Actually, many of my clients come to me, and they've been suffering or struggling for years, like I said before. So, what is it that you hope for the coaching profession moving forward, and how can we help people actually, learn about coaching and not suffer alone and actually
That's it.
reach out for help and get the help that they need.
So it's funny. When I talk to people about coaching, I am very clear on the fact that nobody needs a coach. And I start that way. Nobody needs a coach. So why did I dedicate my life to this profession that nobody needs? Because the most successful people in the world have multiple coaches. See, Tony Robbins likes to say success leaves clues. I love that quote. Success leaves clues. Who do you wish to be more like in the world? Look around. How did they get to where they are? Ask the questions. If you do the digging, the most successful people that you admire all had a coach or multiple
Absolutely.
coaches along the way. So that's the difference. Does anyone need a coach? No, not at all. You don't. But they're extremely helpful to get to where you want to go. And so I've had multiple coaches in my lifetime. I still have a coach today. I've never stopped. And what's really important to understand in all of this is the outcome and my purpose, and understanding how a coach who is really there to just listen, to hear what I'm going up to, and ask really powerful questions to help me reframe. And really, they're not there to give advice. They're not there to try to tell me what to do, but they're allowing me to actually process what I'm going through so that I can really grow from it and apply it to what I'm up to in the world and get better. So to me,
Right.
it's simple. When you're ready to grow, there's a coach for you out there who's going to help you with your growth. You
Mm.
wouldn't start a new sport without a coach. You wouldn't dive in. If you want to be an Olympic athlete, you wouldn't just try to do it on your own, right? Michael
Right, of
Phelps
course.
won the most gold medals, had multiple coaches. Tiger Woods at the peak of his game. Tiger Woods was the best in the world. He hired a coach and changed his swing and actually dropped down in the rankings. Why? So he could continue to dominate his field. His coach said, "You've gone as far as you can with that swing. If you want to go further, you're going to have to restart and rebuild, and you're going to have to take some setbacks." He accepted that. Then that's why he continues to be an amazing player,
That's why
right?
he's so successful.
Exactly. He was willing to do it differently. And that's the thing about coaching. I really believe that coaching is one of those beautiful hidden gems that when people discover it, they realize, wow, I can't believe I had so much of my life without a coach. Now that I have
Yeah.
one, I really feel that I have support in the ways I need it.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And one thing that's promising is that I am noticing, even in my own business, that I have younger couples reaching out to me for marriage coaching or relationship coaching. And it's not necessarily that they're like in a crisis where they're about to break up or anything, but they want to do it better. They want to
Yeah.
have a good foundation. And I think that's amazing. I really encourage people to do that. We don't What they don't realize is marriages really, they don't fall apart because one huge thing happened and someone
Yeah.
betrayed someone or something. It can, but that's really
Right.
just a symptom. It happens little by little. So if you're
Absolutely.
able to kind of just do it early, start the right way, put in the right practices, it's so much more powerful. So I love it that I'm seeing younger people going for
Yeah. No,
coaching and reaching out. I think that's great.
I'm very fortunate that I've been married for 25 years, and I've had a blissful 25-year marriage. And the reason I say that is I didn't have a good model growing up. My parents were divorced. My
Mhm.
mom's parents were in a loveless marriage, as far as I could tell. And my dad, he never knew his dad. He's 3 years old when he died, so he's only had a mom, right? So in all of those scenarios, I didn't have a good model for what does a great relationship look like. But my wife's parents were blissfully happy and blissfully married. And so they gave us the foundational advice that we still use today. And if we have time, there's just 3 simple rules. Is it okay if I share them?
Go for it. Please do.
Yeah. It's so simple for a blissful marriage, right? Number one, don't keep score. And the reason why you can't keep score, number one, is that it anchors you in the past. Every time I say you never or you always, I shouldn't even finish the sentence, because what it does is it anchors it out of the present and into the past. So
Yeah.
don't keep score. Number two, it's more important to say I appreciate you than I love you.
Mhm.
That's interesting. Why is that? Because appreciation is specific. I can tell you that I love you and still be mad at you. Both things can be true, right? But if I say, I
Right.
appreciate that you did the dishes, I appreciate you took out the trash, I appreciate you stayed extra to help our kids, whatever it is, appreciation is specific and it builds the love you want to see in your relationship. And number three, don't go to bed angry. See rule number one. So if you can't keep score and you can't go to bed angry, you have to make a decision. Am I going to work on this or let it go? Because I'm not allowed to bring it up again. So if it really is bothering me, then it's worth having a conversation about in the moment. And if it's
Right.
not, and it's something I get to work on, and I release it and I work on it. Or the next time it happens, I can be more ready to have that conversation about that incident as opposed to the previous one. That is what's given me a 25-year blissful marriage. It takes years of work and practice, but the
Mhm.
concepts are.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, and that's the goal. I've been married 26 years, and that's the goal, to not just to be married a long time, but to be blissfully married, to be, and it is
Yes,
possible. It's possible. It is
totally.
possible. And by the way, that framework that you shared, those 4 simple steps, they're in your book, correct?
Yes,
What is the name
it's
of your book?
literally
The
called. The three rules of marriage.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing that. I think that's great. And for anyone else that's listening and that's feeling overwhelmed or alone or quietly struggling, what's one last thing that you want them to hear or that you want to share with them?
Yeah, don't suffer in silence. Don't suffer alone. I mean, the thing is, if they're really feeling that place of loneliness, the worst thing they can do is get in their head. When you're in your head, you're dead, right? You're going to spin,
Yeah.
you're going to go around in cycles, and you're going to convince yourself
Yeah.
why everything is terrible. No, the best thing you can possibly do if you're lonely is stop being lonely by reaching out and
Mm.
telling someone how you really feel. If it's a parent, great. If it's your spouse, great. If it's a best friend, great. There's always someone. It could be a minister, someone in the
Oh,
faith traditions, whatever is
right.
comfortable for you. It doesn't matter who. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It
Yeah. Just
matters
don't
that
go through it
you.
alone.
That's right. That's right. You never have to suffer in silence ever. So don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Bill, thank you so much for your honesty and your heart and your humanity and being so open and vulnerable with all of us, with me. I've really
Thank
appreciated. And I feel like this conversation just in
you.
general just embodies life and love by design, what we're all about, which is about choosing connection and relationships and living with purpose and intention. That's literally the theme of this podcast. So I mean, this has been like a perfect fit. um Before we wrap up, where can
Yeah.
people learn more about your work? I know that I am like obsessed with askbill.us. I'm like, I
Yes.
have a
Thank you.
relationship with Ask Bill right now. And I've also been following your journey on your blog. So do you want to share with people just where
Yeah,
you
that's
want them
it.
to?
Yeah. So askbill.us is my AI platform. Especially if you have anything in the business side of a business that you're interested in, that's what it specializes in. I put together an artificial intelligence platform based on my 35 years of content. So it's not going out to the internet to look for answers. It's all the things that if I were talking to you, this is exactly what I would say. And it focuses on helping you build your business or public speaking. Those are the two areas that I focus on. And so totally free. So askbill.us. If you're interested in my global journey of the last 7 months, I've done more than 180 blog posts on billcarmody.com. And so you can check me out in terms of what I'm doing for the next, at least 5-6 months until I finish my journey in July of 2026. And then LinkedIn is where the only social media platform I'm really active on is on LinkedIn. So if you are interested in that, so those are the three places you can connect with me if you'd like to. Thank you.
Perfect. And we will definitely put it in the show notes so that people can find it there as well. And so if this episode brought up something for you, please know that you're not alone. And I just want to say that if you are in the US, you can call or text 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. And if you're everywhere else, you can visit findahelpline.com to find support in your country. And feel free to share this episode if you think that it will help anyone. And until next time, remember that your life and your love are yours to design. Take care.
Thanks, Odette.
If today's episode described you or your relationship, then this is your moment. You don't need more information. You need a new way of living, choosing, and relating. And that's the work I do with individuals and couples. If you're ready to stop repeating the same patterns and start designing your life and relationships intentionally, visit the link in the show notes and book a complimentary relationship and life audit. Remember, your life and your love are yours to design.